Hello and welcome to the second episode of A Divine Twist. Just a place where I want to share real, raw, open, and honest conversations with the amazing humans who have been chosen for this thing we call cervical dystonia. And so I also love how source, spirit, whatever word you want to use, hooks me up with the most amazing humans. And so today is no different. So I want to give a very warm welcome to both you, Drew, and Brooke. Thank you so much for playing with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Awesome, awesome. So I do want to just give a little backstory to how this all transpired because I think that's kind of what makes the world go round. And so, if everyone can look on the wall behind Brooke and Drew, we see some cool art. And this whole thing, that Eiffel Tower that you see back there is exactly how I met Drew in a Facebook community that is focused on dystonia. And I just remember I'm just, on the Facebook's machine and I see this picture right here and I'm like, I love Paris. I love the Eiffel Tower. And I'm just like drawn in and I'm like, whoa, what is this? What is this? And I think Drew said something to the effect of, I don't know if this is allowed here, but I just, I do spray painting now. And I was just like, I need to talk to this guy. And this was right after I got the idea to do whatever you want to call it, a podcast, these interviews with people just to shine a light in a different way, whatever. And before you know it, we're talking through Messenger, and then I'm meeting your beautiful wife, Brooke, and here we are having this conversation. And so again, I want to thank you for your time and for sharing this conversation with me. So and I cannot wait. I am gonna receive this piece of art that Drew has created. So I'm excited to own one of those. Anyway, okay, I digress. I just wanted to share the backstory and how, some people could say, this is terrible, this sucks. It's just that look at all the cool people we get to come to know because of this thing. Like I never would have met y'all if we didn't both have this thing. So, you know, yeah, it's just like, dude, this is so cool. So anyway, so thank you. Okay, so the first question I have is how did you actually receive your dystonia diagnosis?
So, let's see. We were back in 2014, 15. He was having like just random little twitches, like you know how your muscles just twitch every now and then, and they would be here and there, not worrisome. And then we moved back to Idaho from North Carolina, and we were in the process of trying to buy a house, and his twitching it started like daily, we like just ramping up. So we finally were able to like see a provider, because going into a doctor and be like, yeah, my head twitches, they'd probably look at us like we were crazy. So we got family health. She's actually a nurse practitioner, and we went in and saw her, and she's like, I'm gonna start with an EEG, we're gonna do all these tests, we're gonna do blood work, but I'm sending you to a neurologist. And she didn't play around. She got us to a neurologist. He had been a neurologist for like 25 years. And we walk in the office and he looks at us and he goes, I'll be back. And he's gone for like 20 minutes. And we're like, where did he go? He's like, he comes in, back in. He goes, I was checking the zebras. And we're like, what? And he's like, the things that don't necessarily, they don't stand out, they're different. He's like, I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, we're like, oh, reassuring. Okay, so he sent us to University of Utah, and because of him, I think we got a super fast diagnosis. We were in within 6 months, and usually it's like a 2-year wait to get into U of U.
Wow.
And Dr. Schrock at U of U, who now lives in Minnesota, was his neurologist. Yeah, she's from Minnesota.
You can't
She
make
had,
this stuff up.
yeah, when I saw Minnesota today, I was like, oh, that's where Dr. Schrock's at.
Oh, okay. Mind blown. Okay, I didn't even again. So this is all, I'm learning about these different providers.
Mhm.
Okay, so wow. Okay.
Yeah, she knew within 5 minutes. She goes, I know exactly what you have. At that point, it was just cervical myoclonus dystonia,
Okay.
and over time has progressed into generalized dystonia where it affects his whole body. But
Okay. Okay, so as a nurse, I just have to give a shout out to the nurse practitioner who was like on it and just, nurses are great educators. I'm slightly biased. So
well, I'm in school to be a nurse and I'm wanting to be a nurse practitioner. So
yay!
that's where we're going.
Yeah, so you can't make any of this stuff up. I just love this so much. Okay, so let me ask you remind me the time between when you just had the little twitching to when you were having these daily dystonic kind of, was it a couple of years or?
So the first twitch that was noticeable that we were both kind of like, that was weird, was
Yeah.
when he was 18
Okay.
and then he was diagnosed at 23. So
Okay.
by from the rapid progression
Uh-huh.
to diagnosis was about 9 months.
Okay. Wow, well, I'm sure y'all have heard stories because when the neurologist doesn't know what's going on, it takes, I've heard 7 to 8 years, which is, we have to do better. So I think that's why I just want to bring these conversations to the table because, and also it just resonated with me because something similar happened to me when you talked about the head twitch and you're both like, it's like, it's not normal and it's weird, but it's like, you just sort of like shrug it off or like, you're like, yeah, it must have been just a fluke. And then starts happening over and over and you're like, something is not right. This is
Yeah.
not right. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Now, did they tell you the cause of your dystonia when you got diagnosed?
So they tried to narrow it down. They're like, did a accident happen? Did you ever have like a major concussion?
Mhm.
At that time, we were like, well, yeah, he used to play rugby. I'm sure he had hit his head at some point. He used to skateboard. He split his helmet open one time skateboarding. So
Okay.
he had some head trauma.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, we knew that his great grandma had Parkinson's. We knew
Okay.
that. Um, but since he's been diagnosed, his grandpa has been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and his mom has been diagnosed with essential tremors with dystonic features.
Okay.
So we're like 100% sure it's genetic
Sure.
and it's like a mutated gene.
Okay.
And we have gone through some genetic testing, but the normal like
Yeah.
genes that usually cause Parkinson's and dystonia are not affected. So it's a different gene down the line.
Sure. Okay. Okay. All right. Wow. It's I think well, let me just ask you. It's not like if you know the cause, it like makes it any better.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I think it's something about being a human. It's like we just want to know, like, is there something that I could have done to prevent this? Or like if you want to have children or like it's just this human need to want to know why. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's like, dang, why is
So
this?
we do have 4 kids,
Okay.
and the way that I have researched and what I have found, and what's true to the trend is it passes from male to female. So it went from his great grandma to his grandpa to his mom to him, and we have 3 girls. So like if we could find that gene, we would be able to test our children and maybe prepare them
Yeah.
for a future. But
Yeah. Super. These are the kinds of things that I want to ask providers and researchers about this stuff because it's good to know these things.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. So, this might be a tricky question. I'll just ask it. What is the hardest part about having this condition for you, Drew?
His speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you can just talk about that, like again, like I when I message you on Facebook and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this podcast video thing. Do you wanna? And you were like, no, I don't like really want to do that. And I was just like, you know, I didn't honestly even think about would you be able to speak? And so it's a good education for me. And so your dystonia has affected your ability to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had the DBS put in January of 2017.
Oh, I didn't know you had that. Okay.
And then he, around April, he started not being able to say the T sound. Like it was really hard. And we just noticed like he'd try to say it words and then he'd get stuck kind of. And like he'd have to stop and think about the letter T sound. And then it progressed to like CH and L and different things. And so the doctor at the time, Dr. Schrock had left, and we had a provider from Brazil at U of U. And she was like, maybe the DBS like nicked a nerve, maybe it's implanted wrong. So we had MRIs done, CTs done, nothing, there was no infection. Yeah, so they ended up taking it out in 2018
Okay.
and it did not help at all. Like
Okay.
we didn't see a difference between with it in or with it out. And so we kept moving along. A new provider came in and we decided to move to Idaho, like move his care back to Idaho and found a neurologist local. And he was like, it was your dystonia, it's progressed. And we had asked about you trying like dopa responsive drugs because his grandpa had then been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And we're like, can we try it? Is it something we can just, nothing else has worked?
Yeah.
And so he put him on dopamine, like carbidopa, levodopa, and that changed a lot. And yeah, we put a new DBS in 2020.
Wow.
And so progressively, he's a lot better than he was. He used to not be able to say anything. It got to the point like we were using sign language to communicate to our children. Like he couldn't speak at all.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he can say things now, but still like the T's, the CH, the L's, and if his meds are wearing off and it's just different situations, but he's come a long way in the last few years.
Wow. That talk about a journey. Holy
Yeah.
Hannah. So you're still taking the medications and then you have the DBS. So that's like the two-pronged approach. So when but let me make sure, let me go in my order so I don't get, so I don't get messed up. So obviously not being able to speak is a massive deal. Being on planet Earth, and if you're, you know, you have a family, you have children, if you have a job, so I can understand like you gotta like refigure how to do life and you know, having a sense and then not being able to have that form of communication, I'm sure has not been easy at all. So it sounds like though you're able to do more with your words than you were before a little bit.
Mhm.
So that's really hopeful, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They
Yeah.
think but they've come, his neurologist now is like, I think we're kind of like where we're going to be. He doesn't know if it's going to get any better. It's
Mhm.
been what, like a 7-year journey
Yeah.
of trying to regain his speech.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just because the muscles in his tongue and in his throat are affected, and we've even tried Botox and it
And your
his
tongue?
like in his neck,
Okay.
but dystonia is lovely, and it's like, oh, these ones aren't working anymore, so we're gonna switch to a different muscle and affect that muscle.
Yeah.
So we were chasing our tail trying to get the
Yeah.
muscles in.
Are you able to, so I know that you, well, we'll get to this in a minute. Are you able to drive a car?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, when I couldn't drive, that it's like just takes away your independence. When you have to ask for a ride, it's like, gosh, okay. Um, I'm sure
You
if
would
you
be
had,
in trouble if you couldn't drive, because
see?
I work and I'm in school, and we have 4 kids that have places to go. And
Yeah, you're basically the chauffeur. Let's just be totally honest here. Who would be the other chauffeur if you couldn't drive? So maybe that's a silver lining that you can actually drive a car. That's big, right? I mean, wow, because I
Yeah.
know a lot of people can't. Um, okay, so what makes your dystonia worse?
walking a lot, like
Okay.
walking door. Like if we wanted to go to like the fairs during the summer, long walking is hard. And unfortunately, I wasn't thinking, and I got our kids season passes to Lagoon this year for summer. So I'm going to be walking a lot, and he gets to hang out and chill under a tree. And
All
but
right.
I know he'll go and ride rides with the kids too. But
Okay. So, ambulating far distances. What about like stress or like not sleeping or any of those other kinds of things? Do they make it worse?
bright lights,
Oh,
like
okay.
flashing lights. So we
Okay.
thought it was epilepsy in the beginning because his brother played that mosquito tone, that really high pitched sound, and he went into like convulsions on the floor.
Oh,
And we were like, well, like, I was like, you just had a seizure? And he goes, well, I could hear you talking to me. I just couldn't respond.
oh,
And then it happened with bright lights. And so at one point, he was put on driving restrictions and was not able to drive.
sure.
And still, like at night, he doesn't drive because of lights coming towards him.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
affects his eyes. They close, and he has to force them open.
okay. 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 So the walking long distances, bright lights, certain pitches or frequencies rather of
Mm-hmm.
sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do the lights, it sounds like the lights and the sound actually can produce a dystonic
Storm.
response in the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, but that was so scary.
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh. So
And that,
what do you do when that happens? I mean, I'm just thinking nurse mode over here. Like, what you like seizure precautions, the things that you do when someone is having a seizure. You don't want them to bite their tongue. You don't want them to fall. So what do you do if that happens? Um,
luckily, the severe storms have not happened in a few years.
okay, well, they're not going to be there. We're just,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
And the few times that they happened, he got on the floor, like, so he was
okay.
still like coherent enough that he would
Yeah.
just get on the floor and let them pass.
Yeah.
But he actually had one in his sleep at one point, and it was super like weird and scary. They're like, no, dystonia movements don't happen in their sleep. And I'm like, I have it on video. Like he was,
Yeah, I can't imagine why they wouldn't happen in
yeah,
your sleep. That's another great one for some of these researchers and providers. So
yeah.
okay, that's really interesting. Okay. Oh, and what makes your dystonia better?
So I'm not sure if it's like a dopamine or serotonin. Like we kind of like really kept it quiet for a long time. We didn't
Yeah.
reach out to the doctor like,
Yeah.
but during intimacy,
Yeah.
it feels normal. His pain goes away. He doesn't have movements.
Yeah.
He feels normal. And we brought it up to his neurologist probably about 6 months ago. And he was like, I've never heard that. That's
See?
different. Yeah.
This is so important. Listen, when I looked at your answers, I was like, oh, I love just how open and honest, because listen, everybody wants to know like how we were just helping each other. So I love this so much. I mean, if you think about scientifically or physiologically what's happening when someone, let's say, has an orgasm, it's a total release, and all those feel-good hormones are just being discharged at exponential. So who knows, maybe this conversation is going to spark some intimacy, and people can let us know,
Right.
and also because humans, we are wired for connection, and also physical touch. Obviously it needs to be safe, and it needs to be right, it needs to be safe and consensual. I think it's so lacking, and one of the things I think that's so common in anybody who has dystonia, there's this isolation, there's this anxiety, there's this lack of connection and intimacy. So I love so much that y'all have intimacy and that you brought it to your doctor, because that's helpful for the doctor.
Yeah. He was like, well, okay, let's try some medications that, are dopamine agonists and kind of
Yeah.
bring them up. And he goes, you don't want to go too far off the charts because you could have negative side effects. But
Yeah.
we did notice he did feel better
Yeah.
when they, added more medications that helped his dopamine and his serotonin levels. And so, I mean, we have to be careful about not going too high, but the doctor was like, oh, well, maybe we can try this. And I could say in the beginning, I was really nervous, like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to, and then he's open and honest, be like, no, that's when I feel myself. I feel normal. I feel so much better. So,
I mean, no pressure, Brooke, but
all right.
here, the times I feel the better is when we do this awesome magic together. And it's still, though, like, I just always like to focus on what's working. Let's look at what's working. Like, this is awesome. And who knows what doors this might open for people. And so again, I just thank you so much for your vulnerability and your honesty, because I know that these conversations, even if they just help one other person, we're doing something, something magical. So and also it's just another reminder, especially post the world we have lived in for the last 3 years, is that human touch, again, when it's appropriate and it's consensual, it's so important for our well-being. I mean, just holding someone's hand, or just, the tap on the shoulder, it's just like, I got your back. This is good. It's just a really good, I just, that makes me so happy. So yay. So
Yeah, people, they're like, we don't want to like they don't want to ask questions about what's going on or why he is what he is, or and I'm like, I'll tell you everything you want to know. I'll tell you, because it's not out there.
Like, yes,
if our story can change one person or two people, or change an opinion, or give somebody knowledge, it's worth it.
Absolutely. Yes. No. So that's why I was just like, yeah. When I saw that Eiffel Tower, I'm like, yes, this is happening. And just, oh my God. Okay. Okay. So another question. I love this question. What has dystonia taught you?
To be patient.
Lord knows.
Yeah.
What did we go? I don't remember what our actual. It's taught us a lot. Like,
speaking of painting, you said, even though I have to work through life differently, I'm artistic, and I learned to do spray paint art after not being able to work anymore. So again, like, holy cow, look what you did with something that's like sucky. You like, did you know that you were like so creative before?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to draw like
Okay.
in high school. He could
Okay.
draw. Um, and he's always had kind of like a creative mind.
Yeah.
But when he had to stop working, so he worked for FedEx for a little while,
Okay.
and his pain actually like made him black out and he wrecked a FedEx truck. So that like really triggered disability, like,
Wow.
okay, he's lost a job because of this, and because of all the notations that Dr. Schrock did.
Yeah.
He qualified for disability the fastest I've ever seen it happen. Like
Yeah.
I've seen people fight and fight and fight. And there
Yeah.
was no fight. There was no it he went on disability within 6 months of applying, like
Yeah.
still work.
Wow.
So he was working another job, weatherizing houses. So he would like put insulation in and he'd seal windows, and it was a lot of physical labor, and
Mhm.
his body just couldn't take it. He just
Yeah.
couldn't handle it. And
Wow.
so he's like, I saw this thing on YouTube and I really want to try it. And I was like, I'll buy you some cardboard and some cheap, like $3 paint, because
Yeah.
I don't want to like throw
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing he did. That was his first painting. And
Hello. I also want that one.
I'm like, yeah, we're not doing cardboard anymore.
Yeah.
I'll buy you, like posters, canvases, whatever you want.
Wow.
Let's go somewhere with this. Let's
So
try it.
what year was that moon or done?
2017.
Oh wow. Okay, so again, just like take something that just, is something you would rather not have or have to deal with and turn it into something that my guess is that this brings you joy, Drew. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when you commission a piece or when you sell it to some crazy lady on the internet who's like, what is this? I need to have it. I mean, that has to be so rewarding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so awesome. I mean, it's just so cool how that one picture just, it was like, it just sucked me in. I was like, what is this? Oh my
I know.
God.
You send some that I'm like, I want to keep this one and this one and this one. I'm like, I'm running out of room.
Oh my, okay, so here's like a crafty, creative, artistic question, I guess. Um, I mean, I'm thinking of like writers, So do you just have these periods where you're like, you wake up from sleep and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do the Eiffel Tower. Like what's your process? Do you have like you go in the garage or wherever you go and you turn the music on and you just whatever comes out, or do you have like a creative process?
Uh, basically.
You do have a
Whatever comes
process.
out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so is it pretty free flow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he has a shed. We ended up buying him a 10 by 12 shed
Yeah.
because Idaho's not warm most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So it gave him a place to be out of the wind and, out of the elements and go in, and just, that's just his space. And I'll come out and be like, where's your dad? He's outside. So like he just goes out there to let himself vent,
Yeah.
go paint. It's just a relaxation technique for him. And he'll come in and I have like a Cricut and he'll be like, I gotta cut something out, and he will go, and we bought an iPad so that he could draw.
Oh yeah.
And technology now will help straighten his lines, and so he
Nice.
can continue to draw and but have it look clean, and then he can cut out his drawings on the Cricut. So
Now that is an epic use of artificial intelligence right there. Like that is
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my gosh, I love that. So instead of a she shed, you got a dude shed.
yeah.
Yeah.
The art shanty or the art. So I don't know if you know about this about Minnesota. You know, we have over 10,000 lakes, and in every, I think it's in February, they have, I think it's called the art shanty, where artists create these like houses to put on the ice. And they're all over my favorite lake, Lake Harriet, right down the road. And it's just so artistic and creative, and you know, it's so cool what you can do with your imagination
Yeah.
and a little bit of material.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I artistic. I am very logically inclined, and
Yeah.
yeah, actually, I took a stab at it one day and was like, I want to see how this works. Like, I
Yeah.
want to, and I mean, it did turn out too bad, but I was like, I can't think backwards.
Whoa, I love that. Is
I'm
that a
like,
bird in front of the
no, it's just paint splotches that didn't come out.
yeah,
But
like I see a bird. I'm an eagle fan, so I immediately like make things up in my mind. That's awesome.
but I'm like, you have to think backwards, and I can't do the process backwards. I'm like, I can't. I don't know how you do this because my brain doesn't work that way.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, I just love this so much. Okay, so um okay, here's a question. Is there anything that you've had to let go of as you navigate this dystonia? I mean, we kind of already covered some of this, but
Working.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you also think that I talked to Kathy about this as well on the first episode. Um you literally, when you have this, you literally have to just let go of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have, it's like this literal, it's a physical, it's so physical. Like if we have a tremor or if our heads are stuck or whatever, like we can't literally control what the body is doing. So we literally have no control. And at least in my own experience and the people that I talk to, it seems like those of us who get chosen for this, we need we value certainty and we have a high need for control. That's just been my own self-study. So I'm just curious, do you feel like because you've had this for a while now that it's easier for you to like let go of certain things?
Yeah.
Isn't it
He's
crazy?
always kind of been like a go with the flow.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
sort of like,
yeah.
oh, stress. Like I stress about everything. He's like, it's fine. It'll work out. He's like, it always does. So he's
Right?
always kind of been like, yeah, it'll be all right. It'll work.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I need to know.
Mhm.
And maybe it's a woman thing. I don't know.
But yeah, I do. I have to say, yes, for females, that's kind of a tendency or a trend I'm seeing. Um, I think that I just totally lost my train of thought. Anyway, if it's important, it'll come back. I just think that it's a great metaphor. Everything is a metaphor, I think, in life, and it's just so. Oh, this is what I was going to say, Drew, is that your response, your vibe of like, hey, it always gets worked out. It's all good. That completely influences how you experience life, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like whenever we want to just like wring the neck of the dystonia or whatever, it never works.
Mm.
Nope.
What do you want to say, Brooke?
No, it's true. Like, I mean, I've had to learn to just, it is what it is. I used to not be that way, but as life is going on and with all of the doctor visits and the different loops that we've gone through and the different providers and finding his neurologist now is so amazing, absolutely amazing. And I it just worked out how it's supposed to work out, and it is what it is. And we wouldn't meet some amazing people that we've met. And um yeah, he wouldn't be creating the art because he probably would still be working, and
For FedEx.
we would have a totally different route of life. And because of all the visits to the doctor and all the time spent in hospitals, like I wanted to be a trauma nurse when I was little. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I currently work in pharmacy, but I was like, you know what? The brain is really cool. Like in the neurologist office, I'm like, what if I became like a neurologist? Like, what if I went back to school to be a doctor? And that kind of really sparked like me going back to school because of him. And then if I'm a nurse practitioner, I can also help others be diagnosed. And so I don't, if he didn't have this, I might not be headed back to school. I might not be, becoming a doctor. I might not, there's lots of things that might not have happened that if he didn't have this experience. So,
Oh my gosh. So much. There aren't enough emojis
Mhm.
to express my love and gratitude for just the poise and the grace and the openness, right? Like when we are open to the possibilities, that is what we experience. And it's speaking to everything you're both talking about. Drew's like, hey man, let's just go with the flow. It is what it is. And then in your awesomeness, have learned to navigate this and dance with him with this thing. And because you leaned in instead of running away, you're going back to school and you're gonna help so many people. So again, I think this is what it looks like when we're in flow and we're tapped in and we're tuned in, and we don't allow the things to define us, right? We it's like we lean in and we stride with whatever it is, because this is just my personal belief. Nothing is an accident. No thing, no experience, no diagnosis. It's all for us on purpose. It's just some of us, like y'all, are open to what it has brought, and it's just so beautiful. Anyway, I could nerd out all night.
Mhm.
Keep this under 30 minutes and we might be going over. So thank you again
Mhm.
just for this amazing, really deep conversation. Here's another fun question. If you had to do this differently, so like, you wake up tomorrow morning and you're like, hey, Drew, here you go. Here's some dystonia. Is there
Mhm.
anything you would do differently on the journey? You talked a
I,
little, yeah, go ahead.
I would say, I think if we could have got the provider in Utah to try the dopamine
Yeah,
responsive drugs first,
yeah,
or like when we asked about him, because his grandpa was diagnosed in 2017 as well. So like it was kind of a mixture of everything happening all at the same time. And we're like, well, since he's got Parkinson's, like, can we try these? And she goes, no, he doesn't have dopamine responsive dystonia. And we're like, but we don't know that. Like, can we
yeah,
try? So I
yeah,
think maybe if we would have changed providers at that
yep,
time and started those earlier, it may have helped slow the speech regression.
yeah,
And maybe he would have never got to the point he did. But he basically was going unmedicated without DBS. So
yeah,
his body just took full control and said, well, this is what we're going to do.
yeah,
So I think if we had those on board a lot earlier,
yeah.
it might have had a different outcome. But
Perfect.
we
I
wouldn't know life the other way. So
Yeah, I love that. And again, this question is not to like, I don't believe in regret of any kind. I just think it's powerful for people to reflect, because if someone's listening, like Kathy said, I wish I would have done DBS sooner. Like they were trying to talk to me. And so again, just highlighting that also the other point. I mean, I spent 8 years coaching people working for an insurance company, and I spent a majority of my time reminding people that what your doctors say is not necessarily the creed. And if you do not agree with what they're saying, you need to go somewhere else, because they're not paying the rent for your body. And if you don't agree with it and you don't trust it, and if they're threatened by your questions, you need to run as far away the other way as possible.
Yeah, we left shortly after that experience.
Yeah.
Like we're like, well, because she basically told us that there was nothing else she could do for him. So we were
Yeah,
like, well,
like
our
that.
time is here. Done.
Yeah. So again, just reflecting back to people, please, 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 it's your body, it's your sovereignty. You get to decide. And honestly, if you went to 10 neurologists, they might honestly all say something different. So it needs to resonate with you and your ethics and your values and all of that. So thank you for sharing that. Here's another good one. What do you wish people understood about this thing called dystonia?
Mhm.
He's laughing.
It doesn't
Oh,
always
cute.
show. Like looking at him, you don't know. And sometimes it's hidden. Like he looks like a normal person every day, and
Yeah.
he's quiet, so they don't know that his speech is affected. And um like he has a handicap placard. When we get out of the car at the stores, people give us really weird looks. Like
Oh,
we're young, we have kids, like you don't belong parking there. Like why don't use your grandma's handicap placard? It
mm,
like those are the things that I just see on people's face.
yeah.
And they, like if they watched him walk, they might see it, like
Yeah.
if he's having a hard day. But some days, if like his pain level's good, he can walk just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I wish people would understand that disability is not always visible.
Yeah. No, I think that's so powerful. And again, it's just highlighting that we never know what is actually going on behind closed doors. We never know. And so it's just, if you can have some compassion instead of judging other people, just really, not like, I guess, refraining from throwing shade, certainly, and refraining from judging other people. And unless you know exactly what's going on, just refrain because it's just the right thing to do, and until you've walked in someone's shoes that has this, you got no place. You got no place trying to
Yeah.
trying to tell us not to use a freaking handicap. Anyway, okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Woo! I'm so passionate. Okay. What is your most supportive tip for anybody? So two things for somebody managing dystonia and then the person that's with the person managing dystonia. Do you have a tip for both parties?
So I think having support is probably the biggest,
Mhm.
like anybody could have. Having somebody there throughout the journey,
Yes.
um, and being the supporter. Nothing would break it. Like the love that I have for him, there's nothing that would tell me, sorry, like can't do this, can't handle this. You just have to learn patience and understanding. Um, it's not been easy by any means.
Mm.
Like I work full time and he takes care of the kids, and I had to learn sometimes my house wouldn't be clean, sometimes the laundry wouldn't be done, sometimes my kids ate cereal for dinner
Yeah.
because he doesn't feel good. And I had to learn like to just let things go. And I think that any supporter, you might just have to learn, just it can be done another day, it can be done another time. But I had to understand he hurts,
Mhm.
and that took understanding on my part, because there was times I'm like, how hard is it to cook dinner? Like go
Yeah.
put ramen on or go, and then I was like, well, I'd rather you feel better. Like when it started progressing a lot, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I just have to, you know what, this is not worth arguing over, fighting over. Just let it go and let it be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, well, any kind of time where, we become or we have the role of a caretaker, right? It's we always have to continue to do the self-nourishment for the person giving the care, just like the person that's in the with the dystonia, right?
Mhm.
And so that is definitely something that we all struggle with. So, and being a nurse for 26 years, believe you me, you know, put your own mask on before you help the person next to you. So, so yes, and I just really acknowledge both of you for being all in, and you know that takes tenacity and courage, and it's very selfless, you know, to just be there for our partners. And man, it makes a huge, huge difference, because I know there might be people listening that don't have a supportive partner, and I just send you copious amounts of love and compassion, because even with a very supportive spouse, man, there are some dark nights of the soul where you're just like, yes, and still, this is hard. So, thank you for modeling what a great relationship can look like. And we send love and compassion for those who are looking for support. I will give a shout out, of course, to the DMRF, which is the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation. They have support groups all over the country. And we're so blessed in Minnesota. We have an incredible, just went to a lunch. We just had like a support meeting. So it takes a hive, I say, find your hive of people, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because people want to help you. We got to ask though, you know, and it's so, I love that what you're sharing there about that. Okay, so this is the coolest part. If people have questions for you, is it okay if they just post any questions and then I will pass them along and we could get the party started? Okay, awesome. And then also, um, for your art, the best way for people to get their eyes on your gorgeous art is at your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And also, if somebody was like, hey man, I live in Alaska and I want to commission a piece, do you also do commissions? Do you do requests?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
If it's something that he feels like he might be not be able to do,
Yeah.
he'll be like, I'm not sure if I can do that. But
Okay.
his horizons and his abilities have broadened over the years, and he's doing a lot more than he has
Okay.
ever done before. And so he will try his hardest to do whatever somebody's asked. And a lot of his stuff actually is pieces that people have been like, hey, can I get this
Yeah.
for my kid? Or
Yeah.
can you get this for my wife? And so, yeah.
Awesome. Just can you tell us again the name of your Facebook page, just in case if people are listening? I'll also put it in the comment section or the description.
It's AP Spray Paints.
AP Spray Paint. Perfect. Okay,
AP
awesome.
Spray Paint Arts. I'm gonna pull that up because I don't go on there very often. Oh, my bad.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I'll be sure to put it in the description where people can click on the link. And this has been so rich. So again, I want to thank you both, and I'm just so grateful who and what source puts on my path and in just the right time. And is there anything else that you want to share or talk about before we wrap this up with a pretty little bow?
um, I don't think so. I'll put it out there that he does do prints. So a lot of his pieces have prints. So they are more cost effective and you can still get the beautiful art, and they're easier to hang because they're poster boards. And so you can frame them. And so that's how a lot of people really support him, is just by buying the prints, because not everybody can afford a nice piece, but the prints still look really nice on the wall and they're affordable. So
Sounds like a win-win to me.
right. And then, yeah, I just hope to get awareness out there about dystonia, and like it's possible to live, it's possible to work through it. I mean, we have 4 kids, we have a story, we have a lot that's gone against us, but we're still standing, we still own our home, and life still goes on every day.
Yeah.
So,
And it seems like y'all are having some fun in there too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's huge, because otherwise, what is the point of all of this? I see no point if we're not, if like we gotta even if it's just sparse, we gotta get the nuggets of joy in there, because otherwise I think we're missing the point. And so I think your relationship, the way you're navigating this, is such a beautiful tapestry of how to do this well, because nobody would wish this on anybody. And so having said that, you have this and you're doing a phenomenal job of navigating it with such grace and poise. And so I'm so glad that the universe crossed our paths, because I'm so inspired by both of you. And Brooke, we'll talk about the whole nursing thing. And I'm so excited for you and to bring you into the nursing profession. And I think that is a wrap. So again, thank you both, Brooke and Drew, and can't wait to get this conversation into the world. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay.